All right, we're live. Alan and Tarsky back with you, episode 187. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. Alan Spade alongside Tom Katarski. As always, Mr. Tom Katarski. We're, trying to get on a schedule, same way these sports are, but things are starting to roll pretty good. We had a little scare with baseball with Marlins and some other teams who are postponed as well, but baseball's kind of been rolling, doing well. Like we mentioned off air, already 33% of the season it's already done. Look, we're gone through the first round of the bubble. Nothing's been going on there. College football we're going to talk about. When NFL Hard Knocks was back yesterday, that was weird to watch. Seeing the both LA teams, which was cool, but it was just so weird to watch that and not really see the typical Hard Knocks kind of material we're used to. But to get into on this episode, but just want to check in with you. How is everything in New York State?
Oh, New York State, we're great. We flatten the curve, so says Cuomo.
I mean, down. It's not the 800 to 1,000 people dying every day like it used to be.
Well, yeah, that's because everybody already got it. It's very simple. I mean, it was nowhere to go but down. But no, I mean everything otherwise is
Well,
all right.
I mean, New York was at the number one on that list every day I watched the news. Now it's California and Texas and all in Florida, all the big states. But I mean, now Texas, we just passed 500,000. Monday we had 500,000 cases already now in Texas. I think New York's around 420.
Yeah, we passed the torch, but but the thing is that like I don't know. I mean, but everything is hey, look, everything is going good. Um, I think a lot of people are starting to get a grapple on this thing. Even in the states that were rebellious to wearing masks, even the states that were rebellious to the social distancing. I think a lot, not all, but I think a lot of places have finally figured out like maybe we should play by the rules. We finally saw the president wear a mask, um, and a lot of his followers, they're going to do and follow what he says. So, just like any politician, they are the leader of the free world, whether you like the president or not. That is what their job is to do, and it is to lead. And if you tell people to wear a mask, right, it's a sign that you probably should.
Before we get political, the last thing I'll say about well, the only thing I'll say about masks is
They're terrible, man.
doctors, you don't see too many doctors dying or nurses dying. Some do, of course, obviously that's just sheer numbers, but they're in front of it every day and they don't die. It's just because they're wearing their mask, they have their PPE, they are protected at all times, and they're right in the line of fire. So wear your mask, shut up, just put it on.
It's terrible.
You don't need to wear a mask when you're in your car unless there's multiple people in your car. But I'm always driving. I see people driving by themselves with the mask in the car. You don't need a mask when you're in your car. Just put it when you go to the store, come back, get your house, take it off.
Excuse me. There's a lot of dumb people though, because I mean, I hear people even at my job. Now, my job was ground zero for our listeners that don't know. Multiple deaths, multiple positives, and I hear people at my job complaining about wearing this mask. And I'm like, bro, we just went through a pandemic literally at our own job where they shut us down before the whole country was shut down. And you're worried about a mask, talking about how it's hard to breathe. Yeah, well, it's even harder to breathe when COVID gets in you and it affects your lungs and your whole
And you die.
respiratory system. So I just don't look. Do I like wearing a mask all the time? No, especially when it's hot. It's been hot here in New York, not as hot as Texas, obviously, but it stinks when you're out there and and you're outdoors and you're doing things with a mask and not necessarily doing things in a mask like walking where you can kind of take it off, but when you're in close quarters with people. At my job, for your daughter's birthday, you saw that I was wearing a mask because I had to during the Zoom birthday celebration. It's just mandatory for where I work. So no matter it's 100 degrees or 50 degrees, I have to wear this mask. Is it convenient? No, but if you are not smart, it could be 10 times worse. So just wear your mask, shut up, and it can keep everybody safe, because when I'm wearing my mask, even if it's not protecting me from say everybody else, I know that when I have if I sneeze or if I do something else, that at least it's contained more so than it would be if I wasn't wearing a mask. So just people just need to be smart, and that's really the bottom line. It's really not rocket science.
Yeah, you got to take it seriously. And a couple football conferences in college football are taking it very seriously. We've heard obviously we're waiting for all the chips to fall And it all started with the Ivy League, Tom Kotarski. The Ivy League said we want no part. Well, I think it was actually started in the Bronx. Everything where hip hop started in the Bronx
Hmm.
and all this started in the Bronx. Fordham University was the first program to say, nah, we're not having it. We're not playing any football. Fordham University, the home of NFL superstar John Skelton. Fordham University,
Come on,
backup
bro.
quarterback.
Come on. You're talking about you went John Skelton instead of Vince Lombardi?
Vince Lombardi, of course. I mean, quarterbacks. But yeah, they said they didn't want any part. Then the Ivy League came and said they don't want any part. And
But
conferences here and
I
there. And
think
then, all these rumors over the weekend about the
I
Big 12 and the Big 10. And they say, no, those guys aren't going to do it. They're not going to do it, are they? And they sure as well. They canceled their
I
seasons.
I think Morehouse came out also right around the time that Fordham did. Morehouse came out and said that we're good with football. Then there was the MAC came out. Was it the American Conference?
The
I know the
Metro
MAC.
Atlantic. Yeah.
No, I know the MAC. I know the MAC came
Mid-Atlantic.
out. I know the Mid Atlantic came out, but was there did the American Conference come out too, or whatever it's called? There's so many conferences that aren't the mid-major conferences that I don't know, but I was shocked, and I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked. There's no other word besides shocked that the Big Ten canceled or postponed, whatever you want to call it, just because. I mean, you're talking big time football programs. You're talking about the winningest program in the history of college football in the Michigan Wolverines. You're talking about one of the elite programs, top 5 programs every single year in Ohio State. You're talking about Joe Pa's legacy, maybe a little tainted now, but Joe Pa's legacy and the Nittany Lions in terms of Penn State. You're talking big football programs.
Iowa, big NFL
Iowa,
stars from Iowa.
Iowa. I mean, this
Michigan
is
State, Kirk Cousins,
absolutely,
Jerome,
you know,
Plaxico Burress. A
oh
lot of
yeah,
guys
yeah.
coming out of
There's no
Michigan
doubt.
State.
I mean, there's no doubt. I'm just saying. I mean, when you think Big 12, obviously the Michigan Ohio State rivalry.
Big 10, yeah.
I'm sorry, Big 10 is the top of the list, right? But you also have those other schools, like you said, they put out pros. Michigan State, Charles Rogers, supposed to be a top wide receiver, came out of there. Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell.
Kirk Cousins, highest paid.
Le'Veon
until Mahomes came into the game.
Yeah,
but.
yeah, well, he deserves it. Le'Veon Bell, one of the best running backs in the NFL over the past decade. I mean, you're talking about a major football.
Carl Banks, Pat Shermer.
You're talking
Pat
about
Shermer.
Yeah, Patrick. You're talking about a major conference here, as opposed to like say the Big East. This isn't the Big East that used to have.
Yeah, I mean Connecticut had backed out too. We're like, Connecticut, Fordham.
Well, this isn't the same Big East, right? When the Big East used to have Florida State and the University of Miami.
Yeah.
That was when Miami and Florida State used to battle every year. Now they're in the ACC, but I mean, if the Big East would have backed out, you'd be like, this isn't basketball, right? Like this is, and even that's not the same. But the Big Ten is pretty big, man. And the Pac-12, I don't think anybody cares about. They really haven't done anything since.
That's where the quarterbacks are, man.
But I'm saying, but they
Herbert,
haven't.
Sam Darnold.
No, but I'm saying,
but they have guys.
But they haven't done anything since Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll were there, right? Like that's when they were doing things every year. Like you could just pencil in USC as being a top 10 program. You could pencil in Oregon as being a top 10 program. Now it's like, okay, yes, sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. Andrew Luck, I know Stanford, you could pencil them in, but the Pac-12 struggled over the past few years, but nonetheless, that is a big time conference. It is a Power 5 conference. So it's a lot.
Those guys are out.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Those guys are out. The SEC, they came out. They said they're in. They posted their schedule. They're good to go. All 14 teams in the SEC. The ACC, same thing. Miami, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Duke, Virginia Tech, Louisville. All these teams, they're in. And the Big 12, University of Oklahoma, University of Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech.
Oh man, anything to do that. The Southeastern Conference, you're talking Georgia, where kids are getting sent home from school with COVID and camps. Kids getting sent home from camps with COVID. They're going to play.
Coach O was on the news yesterday. I saw him. He was interviewing with someone on ABC, and he said, "Yeah, we expect the stadium to be 50% capacity." Well, let me tell you something. That stadium in LSU 110,000, so they're expecting 50, 60,000 fans there to go to those games.
That I don't know
I
about.
mean, I know we were talking
Uh,
off air. You don't think it's going to happen, but I think they're too deep now. They are in it. A lot of the Texas, they just announced their schedule. They're going to play UTEP in their opener. They lost the South
it,
Florida game, but they're going to play
y-
UTEP on
y-
September 6th.
Yeah,
They are ready to go.
but don't forget but do not forget the Pac-12 was the first conference to release a schedule where they would only play conference games, and now they had backtracked and canceled everything. So just because they release a schedule doesn't mean they're going to play the schedule. Now, I do believe that in states like Texas and the southeastern conference, states like Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, football is life, right? Like you talk about Friday Night Lights in Texas. There's nothing bigger. But those other states are big football states too, man. Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana. These are states where football is a big, big part of the culture. Just in states like Alabama, right? Roll Tide, you got the Auburn and Alabama rivalry. So, yeah, if there are conferences that are going to survive this and or just forge ahead and say, you know what, we're going to take the risk, I do think it is the Big 12, right? Because that's home of Texas. Texas, for better or worse, whether the Longhorns are good or not, Texas football kind of sets the precedent of college and high school football. And I think that you see the Southeastern conferences is the most dominant conference. So I think those two conferences alone, if they go ahead with it, I think that that's pretty much the I don't want to say the example you set, but those are the two most influential conferences and states and regions that would keep college football going this season.
Yeah, I mean, high school football here, right? So if you're 1A to 2A, you're going to start on time. Everything's going to roll. 3A and 4A, I think they move back a week. And then 5A, where we play in here at Glen, and 6A, all starts, they moved us back about a month. So our first game, I'm looking at my calendar right now. We have a scrimmage at Georgetown on the 18th, and on September 25th is our opener. We'll play 8 games this year instead of 10, all 7 conference games. So that's good. So that's all that matters for playoffs. But across the state, that was a big thing, and they had made that decision a couple of weeks ago about what to do with the high school football, and delay it for a couple of weeks, even though schools are doing virtual learning for the first 3 to 6 weeks. Football's big, especially down here. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we're kind of getting a glimpse right now with baseball and no fans, the NBA bubble, no fans. But again, those are very restricted. I mean, you're talking college football, tailgating. What's going to happen? How are they going to monitor college tailgating? And then again, 40, 50,000 in the stadium. Here at Texas, they said they were going to try to get to almost 30,000 in the stadium that holds about 95,000. So, I mean, there's going to be some interaction. And is it
Look,
worse to start a season and then shut it down, or is it worse to just shut it down all completely? But these 3 teams, I mean, these 3 conferences, they want to play, and we want to see it.
here's the problem though. And I think these teams will be remiss if they do this wrong. The problem I have with what you're saying, and not you saying, but what you're telling me is the smart thing to do is if you want this season to go on as quote unquote planned, you got to be willing to give up fans. And I know that the 30,000 to 50,000 sounds like a good idea, but if you have fans and they start getting sick, they will pull the plug on the college football season without hesitation. Now, if you have no fans and you do the testing on the college athletes and everything goes smooth, yes, you're missing out on the atmosphere. I get all that, but you will be able to finish the season, I believe. I believe if you're 4 games in and all of a sudden you have these stadiums like Ed Ogeron said, like you just said, or Texas, and they expect 50,000 people. Well, all of a sudden you start having flare-ups in this virus. I think that there's
They had
absolutely
them though. I mean, Clemson had it when they came back to school. There was like 60 Clemson
right,
players
right,
had it. UT had about 20 something players
right,
had it, and they
right,
were
right.
able to
But
shut it down.
what I'm saying is, what would stop the NCAA from saying no? Absolutely not. Like
Oh no,
that
sure. But
in
why
the
haven't they? But why haven't they already then? They already lost all their money on the college basketball tournament. They lost so much money on that, right? Even the College World
well,
Series brings
because
in a
they're,
lot of
they're
money.
they're just a corrupt organization and they don't know what they're doing. They've showed that they've showed their ineptitude in a variety of ways over the years. I'm just saying, and I'm not talking about the student athletes. I'm talking about the fans. If you have fans going to a game and the pros aren't even letting fans in, So if the pros aren't letting fans in,
Is that true with the NFL? I thought some stadiums are allowing it. I know the Giants
yeah,
and Jets aren't
well,
allowing it, but
uh, and they should be. It's probably the safest place to be because every day you hear less and less about New York. Yeah, back in April, it probably would have been the worst place to be, but right now, it's probably the best place to be. Right now, we have
they pass the torch.
right now we have I mean, when you drive into New York State now, it said there on over every sign it says call 511 to quarantine. If you come into New York State from 38 other states, you have to quarantine for 14 days because now New York has set a rule like you can't come into our state from, say, Delaware. We had a problem in my own industry with horses coming in from out of state where the drivers were coming in from out of state saying, sorry, man, you can't race here. So, and that's just simple horse racing. So you could imagine how athletics how it's gonna be. I just don't know if the fans are a great idea to start with if they want the season to just go through all the way. Because if the pros aren't doing it, and I know you said football they have a little bit more time. College always starts a little bit earlier, a couple weeks. I just don't know how it looks because you're dealing with students a lot of the time. The optic is a little bit different in terms of a pro fan and a college fan, right? Like it's just I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. Look, I'm gonna watch regardless. I mean, you know us. We're gonna watch. I'm watching baseball with no fans. I'm watching basketball in the bubble. I'm watching the NHL playoffs in the bubble. So, look, I hope there's a football season, college and pro, but
So
they got to be very careful.
with no Michigan, with no, excuse me, no Ohio State in the mix. LSU lost Burrow. They lost all these players in the draft. Edwards-Helaire, Burrow, Justin Jefferson, the receiver. They lost some defensive guys. So you assume they take a step back. So are we looking at Clemson, Alabama?
Well,
I
Clemson
mean,
always.
the thing, what it should be, and living down here in Austin, I've been a big. No one's been a bigger critic than the quarterback than I have. But now you got a guy that's a legit senior quarterback that's been a 3-year starter here at the University of Texas. They have some NFL talent. They sent a couple of kids to the NFL. They got Tom Herman, who was the offensive coordinator for Urban Meyer in those championships at Ohio State. I mean, but then you look now, you go to Oklahoma, you look at all these Heisman Trophy winners he was able to produce. But I mean, who would be a favorite? Who would be your top four for the college football playoff if Texas doesn't get in this year? I mean, I can't see them getting in anytime soon. If anything, this is the year with that Ohio State spot being open.
I'd have to say my top four would be LSU.
Still,
Every year they're good. The athleticism that they possess is just uncanny. I'd say Oklahoma. I'm not Oklahoma. Actually, you know what? Oklahoma, because they're always there too.
yeah.
Alabama and Georgia. So I think you got no
No
Pac-12.
Clemson.
Yeah, maybe I take out somebody who maybe I take out LSU for Clemson, but Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, he took a step back last year. I have to at
He
least
took a
watch.
step back. They were in a national championship game.
Yes, but he took a step back. They were anointing him as the next everything, and he didn't play well at all. He
I mean,
played.
he had a lead at halftime. I mean,
No. His team had a lead at halftime. You could look at the
hey,
stats.
listen, you can't.
Hey, no.
If you're gonna give him
Nope, that's not how sports works, and you
quarterback,
know
they
it.
had a lead at halftime.
No, I'm talking overall. Trevor Lawrence last year, his stock declined. I'll tell you what, if you could draft freshmen out of college,
But everybody's stock is gonna. I mean, when your stock is as high as what these guys, I mean, look how Sam Darnold's stock was. I mean, everybody, when you're that number one, everybody expecting to be the number one pick 3 years out.
except
There's no way you
right,
keep that up.
except Andrew Luck.
Even Tua
Yeah, but
was
Tua's
Tua was supposed to be the
trash.
number one pick
But he's
before anything
trash
happened.
though. But he's trash. He's a
Yeah, he still went
lefty.
top 10 overall.
Yeah, but that's a big. But that's by the Dolphins. He's trash. Don't worry about it. You heard it here first. He's gonna not. He won't be great. He might be all right. He's gonna be like a. He'll be
But
like
what quarterback prospect that we've seen over the last 10 years?
Andrew Luck.
10 years. Okay. But he was the number one pick for 2 years in a row before he even was eligible.
Definitely not. Definitely the number one pick after his junior year, and he went back for his senior year. Yeah, that was for sure. But I don't know about his after his sophomore year. I don't know enough. I'd be
Yo,
lying.
what a shame he's not playing football, man.
Oh, he's a coward. We're not going to get into that though. But they
So you
they
got
be
so you
they be
have
loaded.
Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson.
Alan, I'll be totally honest. For the first time in my life, I'm going to pretend not to know it all. And I really don't know enough about these teams. I haven't been kept up enough on college football because I don't know if it's going to happen to really look at the rosters and see what's what. Just off of reputation, Alabama, right? Nick Saban ain't going unless Nick Saban quits. They're there. Okay, so you're gonna have Nick Saban. You're gonna have. I got to go with Clemson, like you said. You know what? I retract
The
my statement,
coach,
even though
and it's the coach
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
Dabo and being able to recruit the way they have, I'm gonna go with Clemson. I will take LSU out of the mix because Ed Ogeron, even though he did do well last year and won a national title, I'll take him out. I'm gonna keep Oklahoma in because it just seems that whatever quarterback they have is a Heisman Trophy finalist. And my fourth
Who
team
are
is
the quarterbacks? Baker Mayfield, Kyler
is
Murray, and who's
and
the other one?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
So I'm going to go with Oklahoma, and then I'm going to go with Georgia because Georgia seems to be the one from the SEC East that no one can beat. They always get a shot at the SEC West. I know they lost Jake Fromm, but just based on what Kirby Smart has been able to build there, I'll go with them as well.
I'm gonna with both big conferences. I'm gonna go down. Those games, right? Is Oklahoma and Texas. Whoever can win that regular season game, I like them to be in the driver's seat. Oklahoma has beaten Texas in the regular season and vice versa, but Texas can't seem to win that Big 12 championship game. They didn't even get there last year. They stumbled, but you got a senior quarterback in Ellinger, should be a Heisman Trophy candidate. They got some running backs. They lost 7 running backs last year in training camp
Good
in the
Lord.
regular season. So now they'll be able to get all their tools back. Not sold on the coach, a lot of talent on that team. They brought in a great defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, move some things around. So between Texas and Oklahoma, that's going to be a spot. I like Auburn this year too. People sleeping on Auburn a little bit. You got Bo Nix back there. Again, that's going to come down to that Iron Bowl. Who wins that game? Who moves on? I'm going to keep Clemson in there, and then I'm going to go. I'm going to go with a sleeper, and I'm going to say
Miami
I think they're
Hurricanes.
back. The Miami Hurricanes.
I knew you were going
They'd
to
be
go there.
back. They'd be back. Why not? We're making
Well,
predictions. Everybody makes predictions. They're always wrong anyway. But so give me Miami, University of Texas, Alabama, and Clemson.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't disagree, but I have a couple points about the Miami Hurricanes because I'm a Hurricanes fan. The athleticism and the talent on the field and the recruiting classes they've had over the past couple of years should yield a better team than what they've had. They got the Houston Cougars quarterback, De'Aaron King, to transfer. And you know how they throw it in Houston, right? Case Keenum and all those guys, they chuck it. So now you have a quarterback where you can chuck it. Okay, so you're going to have athleticism. You're going to have a quarterback that can throw it. He's a transfer, so it's not like he's a rookie or a freshman. Um, so if not now for the Hurricanes, without all these, like you said, without the other 2 conferences involved, I don't know when. The only thing that I have a question, and give me your honest opinion. There was 2 teams. There was a highly touted quarterback coming out of the state of California. Um, his name was Jake Garcia. Okay, he chose the Trojans over the Miami Hurricanes, and those were his 2 finalists. Well, now the Trojans are gone. They are not allowed to play. Shouldn't that kid be allowed to go to Miami if those were his 2 finalists?
No, because he
Mm,
chose the
yeah, but
Trojans.
you know what?
Disrespected the
But
U.
yeah, but they were also talking about how they were trying to flip him as late as July, and we're only in August. So, I mean, there was something there where
But I
he had
wonder,
doubts.
had they had stopped workouts? Has he already done anything? Hasn't played a game yet?
I don't know. My whole point is, are players allowed to now? You know how they have the transfer portal? Like, are we now
They're
going to
not
allow?
gonna let no. There's just no. There's no way they do that. It'd become a mess.
It
They'd
become a
probably
mess. But
cancel
how?
the season before they do that.
But
Hey, man, it is what it is. Not everybody gets like what do we always talk about, and all these old school guys talk about. Not everybody gets participation trophy, man. This is the decision you made.
but
You
these are
decided
but
to go
these
to
but
this
these but
school.
these are life altering choices. These are
Hey, how
this
many
is the
kids
difference.
that had a chance
Oh
that
man.
playing high school baseball or even college basketball that could have been fringe NBA guys that could have maybe went in the end of the second round tryout or had something because they had an amazing tournament that no one knew. Yeah, it happens. It
Yeah, but
sucks.
you're talking. Yeah,
But
but you're talking about natural, normal situations where something gets in the way. This is a virus that has taken the world by storm, where kids had no idea that certain conferences would be canceled and other ones wouldn't. It's not like MLB. It's not like MLB, right? It's not like if you sign with the Brewers or if you sign with the Yankees or if you sign with the Dodgers and they cancel the MLB
yeah, but
season.
if you're Miami and Oklahoma and Texas and you have a full roster already, 85 guys on your roster, what are you going to do? You're going to pick and choose and select which ones you want and then bring them on. Then what about the guys that have been in your program? You cut them to the curb.
I don't know the correct answer,
Sorry,
but
man. If your team decided to opt out, you miss
no,
out.
but the team didn't decide to opt out, because if you ask these teams individually, they
They
probably don't
did.
want to.
Well, the president,
Well,
Big
that's not.
12, 12 of the 14 presidents or whatever the number was, they all opted out.
Yeah, but they can't speak for the kids, man. They can't, like, what I'm saying is, you chose a school under the premise of a promise of a
Here's the
national.
better. We're going to let this drag, and I get what you're saying. Does this affect recruiting for these two conferences later on?
There's no if there. I'll tell you, if there's no vaccine, yeah, absolutely, because I know they're the ones that are going to cancel first. Now, if there's a vaccine and we somehow get rid of this virus, I don't think so long term. But let's say next season rolls around and Pfizer or
Yeah, but if you're a
whoever.
four-star recruit and now you got a chance to go to some, you know how it is.
Look,
We
man,
invite you to football games. You get
look,
to go on the.
these 4-star recruits only need to pick one school anyway, and it's the University of Miami, because you live there, bro. Could you imagine being a 4-star recruit living in South Beach?
Coral Gables, but yeah, I feel you.
But you know what I mean. Could you imagine running a town in Miami as opposed to Tuscaloosa? Like, that's what I'm saying. If you're a 4-star recruit and you're really that nice, there's two locations for you. One is the University of Southern California. The other is the University of Miami. Otherwise, I don't need to play in Athens, Georgia. No reason.
What about Orlando, Florida? We got the NBA bubble. We got the Phoenix Suns 7-0. On my entire Twitter and Instagram, my text messages from you, everybody's slurping Dame Lillard, 61 points back to back. That's all nice, but bruh, they're 34 and 39 on the season. They're not even in the playoffs yet.
Look,
Playoffs,
here's the thing, and
and we're acting like this guy is a messiah. And
I
they
don't know.
barely won yesterday. And let's not forget to mention Carmelo Anthony at 26 points, the guy that I'm always defending to the day I die, who's never had any help and never gets any glory and is considered a ball hog for doing the things that he did. But what's Dame? Dame's never won anything. He's never been to a conference championship. At least Melo went to a conference championship, lost to the Lakers, that ended up going to the NBA Finals.
Okay, Carmelo's 6'9". Carmelo should have been to every conference championship. That's number one.
Going up
Number
against the Spurs and the Lakers every year.
Okay, be 6'9", be strong. Look, I love Melo, so I'm not going to talk crap about Melo. I'm talking about Dame Lillard. You can't tell me if Damian Lillard was on the Knicks, you wouldn't be raving about his performance right now.
Not if the Knicks were still trying to get the 8th seed.
Why? That's what Melo did. What did Melo do when he came to the Knicks? When he had Amari, they got to the 8th seed and lost in the first round. So what did Melo do? And then when they had 53 wins, what did they do? They lost to the Pacers before they could even get to Miami. So it's the same thing. Like, he couldn't do anything in New York. He didn't have help. There's no help for Damian Lillard. I didn't say RJ McCollum. He does. Mo Harkless.
Get talent. Get him to come. Get him to come.
Look, who's going to Portland, Oregon? Bro, are you going to Portland, Oregon? I'm not going to Portland, Oregon. Look, I'm not saying Dame. I'm not saying Dame Lillard. I'm not saying Dame Lillard.
Listen,
for you to say Dame Lillard is not a good basketball player.
What did you just say? What did you just say? People aren't going where?
To Portland, Oregon.
But people were ready to go to Cleveland, Ohio to go play with LeBron.
That's different, though. You're talking about one of the greatest ever. I'm not saying Dame Lillard is LeBron James. But who was going to Cleveland? Who was
Kevin
going?
Love,
Where's he at now?
Cleveland,
And what's he doing?
losing.
Losing, right? And let's not forget, did he go to Cleveland or was he traded to Cleveland? Because he was traded to
Yeah,
Cleveland.
but you could determine it. The same thing, right? Paul George was traded to the Clippers, but was he really traded? No. Anthony Davis was traded to the Lakers. Was he really traded? No.
Well,
These guys choose what they want. They work their deals behind. I got those. Hey man, I gotta get to Portland. I gotta play with Dame. I gotta play with CJ McCollum. I gotta play with these guys. I want to win.
look, yeah, but the thing is that nobody like. I don't want to live in Portland. Like, there's a difference.
Listen, he scored 60 points back-to-back games. A great accomplishment. But what is it going to ultimately mean?
Yeah,
Right? You're going to lose in the first round to the Lakers.
And why are they going to lose to the Lakers? Because they have LeBron. Would they lose to the Lakers without LeBron? Like, that's the thing. Like, I understand. I'm not saying Dame Lillard is Michael Jordan.
That's how it seems like you go on Instagram today.
Nah, I mean, I'm not crazy, but what is he? What makes Chris Paul great? What has Chris Paul
I think
done?
He's overrated too.
What has Russell Westbrook done? Dolo. Nothing. Zero without Kevin Durant. So name a point guard by himself that has been able to do something, get to the Western Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals by themselves as a point guard. There are none. I'm just saying, you put Dame Lillard with a good forward or a good
Kyle Lowry. They always lost but they lost to Cleveland like every year when LeBron came back. But they were there every year. They were there every year.
But you don't think that if you take on, be honest now. I know you like hating on Dame, but you take that Trailblazers team and you put that team in the East during that era. You don't think Dame and CJ McCollum are as good as DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry?
Sure.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Look, do I think Dame Lillard is the next coming of Isaiah Thomas? Of course not. I like busting your chops. That's why I call him Dame Dollar because it's just fun.
Yeah, his rapping is so trash.
No,
his rapping is awful.
He's got a couple good freestyles. I'm not going to front it. Better than other basketball
players. Would you
players.
rather have? Okay, here's a better question. Would you rather have next year on the New York Knicks? Would you rather have Devin Booker or Damian Lillard?
Devin Booker because of his age
and his height, 6'5".
Yeah, but
Big
he's
kid,
also
shooter.
I like the shooting. He fits the system better of what the Knicks are trying to do in terms of rebuild.
They finally got Tom Thibodeau, the guy you wanted like 10 years ago.
But he's not the guy I wanted anymore. That's the thing. Times change. Like, they got him 8 years too late or whatever it was. I actually wanted either Kenny Atkinson or Jason Kidd this time. It just seems that the Knicks are always what's the word?
They laid dollars short.
Yeah. They laid dollars short. The last ones to the party. This is not Tom. Didn't they see what Tom? You had to get Tom Thibodeau when he was with the team they had constructed. That was almost right. Like this development team. He had a development team in Minnesota and failed. So why would the development team in New York work? I saw what Jason Kidd did with a development team and did well. I saw what Kenny Atkinson did with a development team and did well. Tom Thibodeau is best suited for a team that is almost there. He demands the most out of his players. They play hard, but he wears on them. As in terms of those other coaches, Kenny Atkinson and Jason Kidd, I think they're better fit. Now, the one thing I will say is the Knicks fans that wanted Jason Kidd because of his relationship with Giannis Antetokounmpo, stop. We're done chasing the free agent. It never happens. They never come. Okay. So I was reading because I get the paper here in New York and they're saying, oh, Jason Kidd's relationship with Giannis changes things. It shouldn't.
If his relationship was that strong with Giannis, he would still be the head coach of the Bucks.
Very fair, but also Giannis wasn't a freak like he is now. But that's not the point. The point is that the Knicks have to stop chasing the free agent. They never come. They don't come. So stop the whole Jason.
They don't even get the draft pick. They didn't even get the number 1 pick to get Zion.
Bro, I don't even need the number 1. Have you seen Ja Morant play? I just needed the top 2. That's all I needed, baby. Because Ja Morant is balling.
So let's take a look now, going into what seems to be the playoffs. Let's move this out of the way.
You're doing all types of computer stuff right now.
There we go to East. Milwaukee and Orlando. If it all ends today, we got Milwaukee moving on, right? We did this earlier.
Well, Milwaukee, yes. I mean, yeah, they're going to move on. Yeah, of course.
Bucks have swept the Orlando Magic 4-0. East is all locked in, so there's no other teams that can get in. Washington was horrible; they didn't get in, so the East is locked up. Toronto might have some seeding changes. So here's interesting. Brooklyn, who plays the Portland Trailblazers tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Portland wins, they get in the playoffs.
No.
They got to get into a play. They'll get into a playoff to get into the playoffs of a playoff.
Game. Yeah.
But Toronto, 51-19, making it happen. That's impressive, man. Going a chance of 52 games without Kawhi Leonard, and still doing it. No Kawhi, no DeMar DeRozan. It is literally Kyle Lowry.
How about Brooklyn though? Brooklyn doing their thing with Kyrie Irving not playing, nobody playing for them.
Still a losing record though, but hey, someone's.
No, but I'm saying, but in the bubble, they've been playing well in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? Like they've moved into the 7th. Like they have no Kyrie. They're missing somebody else too. But there's a lot of these.
So here's where things can get interesting, right? Between these 3, 4, 5, and 6, we could have a little bit of change between. 44 wins, 43 wins, so there could be a little change right there. But then Philly, right? Boston looks like they're going to be locked into the 3 seed. But man, to get Boston and Philly in the first round, that would be a very interesting matchup to watch. And then Miami and Indiana. I think Miami is a pretty solid team with Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler. People forget Butler's on Miami. He's going to be a nice little piece. We'll see where that goes. But do all roads lead to Milwaukee getting out of the East?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing that I've seen that changes that. The Eastern Conference to me is pretty lopsided. I know the records may not indicate that 56-16, 51-19. The West.
Listen, give me these guys. We're the North. Give me Toronto to beat Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You know that they can't. You've seen it without Kawhi. You've seen what they do without Kawhi.
Hey, I want to see it again.
All right.
The West. Lakers locked up the number 1 seed. Playing games. I mean, a playing game, you got to win 2. So, I mean, do you like Phoenix or Portland? I mean, can Portland ride this momentum? I think having Carmelo Anthony is a big, big push. I'm surprised other teams didn't want to get him on board because he can still shoot. He can still score, especially off the bench. Portland has no chance. I mean, depending on how this whole playoff works, I can't see any team that comes out of that has a chance against the Lakers.
No, they have 0 chance.
And the Mavericks looking all right with Doncic and Porzingis, but
they lost last night to my Portland Trailblazers.
Clippers.
No, they're not gonna be the Clippers.
The Clippers got to make sure they stay healthy and everybody.
There's no way. The LA look, the Clippers are too good. I think the Clippers are kind of on autopilot right now until let's just get this thing going.
Denver, Utah. Denver's a good team. I like Utah as well.
You know what's interesting about this one? I actually really like Utah here.
Denver's beaten Utah 3 times this year, all 3 times. But
I know. But and if you want to make a hockey reference, the Rangers have beat Carolina, all 3 times they played this year, and then they played.
How did the Rangers get the number 1 pick in the draft?
Oh, because they care about New York sports and hockey.
Everybody saying they rigged it for them.
Well, if you watch the whole, it's funny, and I'm not going to go off on a side note. If you watch real quick, it's funny because they have 8 balls, right? 8 lottery balls. And each one, the guy picks up the ball and he says, and he shows the logo. Is this the logo of the Nashville Predators? Right? Okay. And the only team he actually dropped the ball into the machine by accident was the New York Rangers, and they actually wound up winning the lottery. So,
who's the top prospect?
Alexei Lafreniere out of Canada.
He's in high school, or what's his deal?
I don't know how it works in Canada or in terms, but he's 18 years old. Supposedly, he's one. He led Canada to the World Championships. It seems to be a done deal. It's kind of like a no-brainer.
Let's go. So that'll be an interesting match. And then
Houston, can they do that for the Knicks? Because I don't care about the Rangers.
New York. So they have Memphis and Phoenix, San Antonio. They have them losing a lot of these games. It'll be interesting to see what the next couple of days look like. But Houston City, I think Houston can get through. I like them if they can stay healthy. But Oklahoma City, they've been a nice little story. Chris Paul's been able to do what he can do all by himself. It's him, Danilo Gallinari, and some other guys. But
I
you know,
truly believe that season that series to me is the one where it's an absolute toss up.
yep. So Lakers was going to go back to Lakers. Well, I'm taking the Raptors, so I got Raptors Lakers in the finals.
That'd be a horrible finals, but I'm gonna go Lakers Milwaukee because you got the Milwaukee Bucks who used to be the Lakers, right? They used to be the Milwaukee Lakers, and then they're playing the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm gonna go with that. But I know everybody, people when they play head to
No, they were the
head.
Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah, actually, you're right. But Minnesota's not available, so Milwaukee's close enough. So, but you are correct about that. But Milwaukee's got some lakes up there, right? I feel like Wisconsin's got the lake effect, stuff going on. But I appreciate the correction. But the one thing that no, I appreciate the correction. I don't want to be wrong. The one thing that is a little makes it a little difficult is the fact that the Lakers seem to they can't beat the actual Clippers. The Clippers, every time they play the Clippers, they lose to the Clippers. They beat everybody else, but they lose to the Clippers. So it's going to be interesting.
As long as these guys stay in the bubble, no one's going to strip club to get hot wings or anything like that.
But who's got a better coach?
Listen, man, Frank Vogel had them Pacers going in Miami those 2 years into the finals, and
I'm not saying he's
young Paul George, Roy Hibbert. Where's Roy Hibbert?
Roy Hibbert's cashing checks. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying who's the better coach.
I mean, Doc's come up short a lot of times too, man.
But does he have a ring?
Yeah, he's got that one ring that he needs.
How many does Frank Vogel have?
To Google that real quick, but I'm sure he has a ring as an assistant.
No. But not only so he has one ring, right? What's his name does? Doc Rivers, but he also was in the finals again against the Lakers. So he's been to the finals multiple times. Frank Vogel, as a head coach, has never been to the finals. So you have to give Doc the nod, even though I don't think Doc is Phil Jackson and or Greg Popovich. I do think that he is a better coach than Frank Vogel. If I was a Knicks fan, or if I was the Knicks, because I am a Knicks fan, I would rather Doc Rivers. One question for you. What happens, because I don't know the answer, maybe you could Google it quickly, if there's a 4-way tie for 8th? Because right now, they said if Portland beats New Jersey on Thursday, right, they're in the play-in game, or the play-in to the play-in to the play-in to the play-in game, right? What happens if the other teams win too and they're all tied for 8th?
It probably has to be.
It has to be the record. To me, it has to be the record in the bubble. It has to be because Phoenix has gone 7-0 in the bubble. So to me, that's it.
So it goes by the winning percentage. This is too much to get into. I could put a link on Facebook or something like that, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, this is way too hard to figure out. Due to the season suspension, not all teams play the same number of games. So the first tiebreaker is win percentage, which favors Portland at each matchup. So the winning percentage, it goes to that. Then it'll go to head-to-head record, followed by division record if in the same division, then conference record against playoff teams, then record against playoff teams in the East, and then the next. So there's a way to figure it out. There won't be too many plans. It'll just go by the top 2 guys. Over or under $73 million career earnings for Roy Hibbert?
Over
or under? You're gonna go with the over.
I'm going to go over.
Just a shy under $71 million career earnings for Roy Hibbert.
I thought he got a big deal. I thought he got like a $90 million deal, but I could be wrong. Like, I mean, I guess I am wrong, but
That was like Marvin Williams. What was that deal that Marvin Williams?
oh,
Like
you got a crazy deal.
125.
Nah, the
That
worst
was
is what.
that summer that everybody was getting
Yeah,
paid.
nah,
Him and Nicholas Batum.
that's who exactly who I was about to say. I said nobody cashed checks like Nick Batum.
Yo, Marvin Williams contract. First of all, he didn't even start at the University of North Carolina. How about Marvin? His middle name, reminiscent of an R&B singer, classic. Marvin Gaye Williams is his name.
Well, he was gay when he got that contract because he was happy as could be, man.
But I'm like, he didn't even start in North Carolina.
Now
And he
wait,
was like the
let's
number
hit- I
3
have a
pick in
question.
the draft.
I have a
And
question.
then,
I have a question. Marvin Gaye Williams. Is this Gaye?
yeah, with the E.
Okay, so it is. So he literally was named after Marvin Gaye.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. I like it. I'm all down with Motown.
Yeah, Nicholas Batum contract.
How about the Joe Johnson contract when he was getting more than LeBron and all of them? Joe Johnson, because what did he do? He had the bird rights and he stayed.
5 years, 120. Yo, Mike was just giving out money. He was like, here, take the Jordan money. Go ahead. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm
5 years, 120 million for Nicholas Batum.
By the way, why is baseball reference so much better than basketball reference?
I don't know.
I'm trying to look up salaries right now for Joe Johnson. You know how easy it is to find in baseball, like what they're making, how much they're supposed to make. But it's not Joe Johnson.
Gotta go to Sport Track. Always just go to Sport Track or Spot Track. I always get it wrong.
No, Spot Track. I understand, but I'm just saying it's so easy in baseball. So my man signed him here on Spot Track, and right now he's not making anything, but we're career earnings. Okay, so we're going here.
He signed a 6-year, $124 million contract with Atlanta.
Your man has made
and before that had a 5-year, $68 million contract with Phoenix. That's 200 right there.
Your man in 18 seasons has 215 milli.
Yeah.
Not bad for a player that's really not the best, but is always considered a big shot guy.
Crazy.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yo, play basketball, man. That's where the money is.
Play basketball, baseball, or be an NFL quarterback. That's really it.
Oh, well, I was watching Hard Knocks yesterday. And they were showing the Joey Bosa deal. Joey Bosa got 5 years, $135 million.
Oh yeah. He's the highest defensive player ever. But you're talking about, bro. Check this out. I mean, I don't know how this equates to basketball, baseball, football, hockey, but in a 60-game season, Max Scherzer is making the lowest amount of money of any baseball player's highest paid player over the past, I think they said 20 years. And he's still making $17 million. And that's
Say that again.
Okay. So the highest paid player in the MLB this year is Max Scherzer. Okay.
Yes.
But he's the lowest paid, highest paid player in the last 20 years, obviously because of the 60-game prorated thing. And he's still making $17 million this year.
Yeah.
So boys and girls, if we teach you one thing, it's be a quarterback, play basketball, or pitch very, very well.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball, we'll get into baseball a little bit. MLB leaders in each division, the Yankees, I mean, they were hot. Then they're doing not so well on the road. I think I saw they were 5-6 on the road.
Yeah, they sat Aaron Judge and they went 1-4 after that.
So the Yankees are 11-6 to lead the East. Tampa is 10-8. Tampa's always going to compete. They got, Twins are 11-7. The Indians, they were pitching well, but they had to suspend 2 of their top pitchers. They're hanging out in Chicago, going out drinking, risking a corona. Detroit 9-7. Clevenger and Plesac.
Yep.
The Athletics 13-6 out the gate. The Angels 7-12.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alan. But can you tell the listeners who Tom always craves for the Yankees to bring up?
To play.
Yeah.
There was that young Spanish kid. Is
No,
he
no,
up?
no, 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 no. You know him. We got him from the Cleveland Indians. But they keep bringing up Mike Talkman instead of him.
Clint Frazier?
Yes. Guess who just hit a home run to tie the game?
Clinton Frazier.
In his first game as a Yankee back, and they still won't let this kid play. Just wanted to say that. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just looked at my phone and it says Clint Frazier.
Clint Jackson Frazier, aka Red Thunder.
If you want to talk about ruining the prospect's value, just look no further than what the Yankees do with their players.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. This is what they do, I think, as well, to like to control their money, because now he's going to be 26 in September, and it's like, well, be like Judge. He'll be 28, 29, 30, just getting into arbitration and won't really be able to get money. I mean, I hate that that's what they were doing to him.
If that's what they were doing to him, but if you are going to trade him, or I don't know if you can or not. Now, I don't know the whole story, but if you were going to trade him, he had a lot of value. And you took that value and you put it
if he's
in the
hitting home
trash.
runs already now and he's doing his thing, I mean, he'll probably continue to have value. I mean, guys, he's
but he was. I mean, he had a lot of value, and then the Yankees kind of shelved him for 2 years.
Who did they trade? Andrew Miller for him?
Andrew Miller, yes.
And then they had traded Chapman for
Gleyber Torres, and then they traded Blake Rutherford,
James Caprillion,
and
Jorge Mateo.
Thank you, Jorge. I couldn't remember the third one, for David Robertson, Tommy Kahnle, and so it's Robertson's gone. Tommy Kahnle had Tommy John.
No. They traded Caprillion, Rutherford, and Mateo for Sonny Gray.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Who did they trade for the White Sox?
They had traded Todd Frazier, and
no, they got Todd Frazier. They got Todd Frazier in that deal. They got Todd Frazier. They got David Robertson, and they got Tommy Kahnle.
Who the hell they give up?
They gave up Jorge Mateo, Blake Rutherford. You're thinking of Dustin Fowler. Dustin Fowler went to the A's for Sonny Gray.
Dustin Fowler, that's right.
But who else did they give the A's? We're mixing.
No, it was Mateo, Caprillion,
and Fowler.
Because
Rutherford definitely went to the White Sox.
The White Sox made a trade trading Todd Frazier, David Robertson, and Tommy Kahnle for the Yankees, included by Blake Rutherford, Tyler Clippard, Ian Clarkin, and Tito Polo.
So it was mostly Blake Rutherford because he was the first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I knew they messed up. Well, they messed up all the trades. All the trades went bad, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, my man Clint, man, I hope he gets some playing time now that Giancarlo and Judge are both hurt. So
the Twins, Tigers 9-7, right? Everybody expected them to probably lose all 60. Tigers are competing a little bit.
How about the Marlins? Marlins are what, 7-2?
The Marlins are 7-4.
Oh, they were 7. Yeah, they were 7-1 when I checked.
Cubbies
they tried to kill
11-3.
Everybody though.
They did. Cubbies are 11-3, and they have some closer issues, but they've just been able to just hit. The Rockies, my team, who I love the most, and now I got a little special interest because one of my Barry friends is on the Rockies, Tyler Kinley. Rockies are 12-6. And I was thinking about you the other day. Can we take a second and talk about the 2012 Miami Marlins?
No, we can, but I just
wonder,
we've
like,
said it before.
I don't understand how that team did not at least make the playoffs.
Well, if I remember correctly, they made a push. They were doing well, and they just didn't make it. There was one Miami team that got hot and didn't make the playoffs.
Jose Reyes, Hanley Ramirez, Giancarlo Stanton, Marcelo Zuna, JT Realmuto, Christian Yelich, Jacob Turner. How about this name? I'm going to take you way back with this name. Carlos Zambrano, a 31-year-old Carlos Zambrano. 31. Carlos Zambrano Was the kid up yet? No, he wasn't up yet. Jose Rodriguez? No, yeah, no, Hernandez. No, he wasn't on
Fernan-
the team yet.
Jose Fernandez.
Fernandez. No,
He
he
had it
wasn't on the team.
really in 2012.
No,
When did
no,
he die?
16. Um,
He was only in the league for 3 years.
Dylan.
I
That
know
was
he
when
was.
Ozzie Guillen was the
I know.
manager.
I know he was dealing, but we loved him. I mean, I remember when he passed away. Boating. But I mean, you were the first person I texted, probably, and vice versa, and we were just like,
I was out
damn. Like,
to see you. Like my heart was just broken
I was like, damn.
going up to Manitou.
Sometimes, sometimes, like, athlete and celebrity deaths matter, and not that they don't matter. I shouldn't say that. You don't really feel them. But this one, like when I got that alert that Jose Fernandez passed away, I
38
was like,
and 17 career record.
man, he was filled.
17, 2.58 ERA in the
And
AL in the NL East.
and it doesn't even do it justice. I'm talking about his stuff. You get Jose Fernandez in his prime with his filth, with a good pitching coach. You bring him to New York because you knew the Yankees were going after him because he was going to be part of that big summer. He was going to be part of that Bryce Harper, Manny Machado summer. It was Bryce Harper, Manny Machado.
11.2 K per nine innings.
No, he was filthy, man. There was no doubt about it. It's a shame that unfortunately, he made
One bad decision.
but he made bad decisions. He should have never been on that boat. He should have never been on cocaine, and and unfortunately, he also took other people's lives who were less famous. So, it's just a shame that when you have and part of my French, you have the world by the balls, and you take it for granted.
Yeah. So sad.
Yep.
Left away a young baby was about to be born too. Just
Yep.
now
No, it
being
was
a
a
father, I
tragedy.
can't imagine. Like
No, it's
now I'm a
crazy.
dad, man. I drive even more careful than you could think of.
No,
I
I
don't
am.
think I ever hit 70 miles an hour because I'm like, it's not worth it.
Nor
It's
should
not
you.
worth it. Get into an accident to my wife and daughter. It's just
Yeah,
not.
why?
It's not worth it.
To save 5 minutes on a trip.
If that.
That's what I'm saying. So, and
But
why?
yeah,
So
those
why would you?
Marlins, man, they
So
had some
why? So why
teams.
would you be out? Why would you be out boating on cocaine? Come on. I mean, look, we feel bad
At
for him,
night.
but yeah, but we feel bad for him, but come on, there's more important things than not only boating, baseball, and money, but your family, and it's just a shame.
So the Yankees, they're going to get Chapman back from COVID, right? Britton's been doing a pretty good job as a closer role.
Very good job.
I mean, they're the
Chapman's had
favorite.
COVID
They
for about like
have,
6 months.
yes, the Yankees have to be the favorite here. They have to be.
They're if they're all, but Canley's Tommy John complicates it a bit because that bullpen that you have where you could run out Canley, Green, Britton, Chapman, you take an arm out of there.
No, you see, you're forgetting one of the most valuable arms in that mix, and you got Adam Ottavino. You still got Ottavino. You get it charged up.
I still don't like him
Chapman.
that
So
much.
you got Ottavino, Britton, Chapman, and Chad Green. I mean, that's monster.
But you lost Canley, and I'm not saying those other guys aren't good, but you're still taking away an arm. And the Yankees right now, if I'm the Yankees, I'm looking to make a trade, maybe for a starter, because right now the Yankees have 3 starters. They have Garrett Cole, they have Jordan Montgomery, and they have Masahiro Tanaka.
What about the J Happ is horrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I stand corrected. They have James Paxton too, and Jordan Montgomery, who actually showed some flashes. But J Happ, you can't consider him a starter any longer. He's just he's collecting unemployment. He's got the best unemployment package in the country.
Yeah.
17 million a year.
To get 2 years, 17. What?
What
did he do that made them want to give him that money?
When they traded for him for the Blue Jays, he beat the Red Sox all the time, and he was 8-0 or 7-0 when the Yankees got him that second half.
So was Aaron Small.
Oh, I'm not
Aaron Small.
Yeah, but that's why they signed him to what they thought he was the Red Sox killer, and he just isn't that. So they made a mistake, and they're paying for it. But to me, I don't understand why there's 2 prospects. The one that you were telling me about the last podcast, who they in New York they write about in the papers. His name escapes me. And then there's Deivi Garcia.
Mm-hmm. Deivi Garcia is the guy I thought you meant.
No, but there was the kid you were telling me about. The There was another guy. Either way, the point is, bring them
Oh, the
up.
pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pitch.
yeah. Bring them up. They can't be worse than J Hap.
I'm just going to share my screen again. I want to know if you remember this guy. And then we're going to get going. Bang.
Oh, Sean Chacon, of course. He had a tattoo over here. Yeah, I remember. Got him from the Rockies. Of course, I remember Sean Chacon.
Ended the season with a 7-3 record, sub-3 ERA.
Yeah, no, I remember him.
They should have won that year too. That was the year they should have won.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Small
Yeah,
and Sean Chacon.
Yeah, I remember him very well. But you know what? I mean, it's just a shame because the Yankees
Yo,
got
shout out to Marcus Stroman, and we'll leave on that. Getting his service time to get a contract and then opting out. G'ing the system, the way the system's always G'ing the players. The way they did Chris Bryant dirty, the way they did Vladimir Guerrero Jr. dirty. And Marcus Stroman was like, you know what? I got my service time for arbitration. Deuces.
Yeah, I mean, he's not very good at pitching anyway, so he might as well leave. So
what about the Cespedes situation?
Nah, that they deserved that. The Mets, look, I'm a Jets
they
fan.
They did him
right?
They weren't trying to let him play. So
they weren't trying to get his bonuses. Exactly. They weren't trying to pay the man. And you know what? Look, I don't care what we talked about Cespedes. I remember when I first moved into this home in 2016 about how there's certain players that can carry you to the playoffs. And me and you both predicted that Cespedes, if he comes back healthy, would bring the Mets to the playoffs. And he absolutely did that, even though he wears highlighters on his arms as you know,
dog. Opening day in the 8th inning, he hits the go-ahead home run on opening day this season
against the Braves.
You can't get
against the Braves. I watched it. I watched it with my coworker Eric. You know, Eric's a Braves fan, and Cespedes hits a bomb. And my whole thing is like, why is he not playing every game, especially when the National League has a DH now?
Yeah.
Who in the Mets lineup can you justifiably put ahead of Yoenis Cespedes as a DH in their lineup? Come on.
I do not know.
And that's the reason why he said, you know what, COVID. I'm not. It wasn't about COVID. He's not worried about COVID. He was like, you guys are trying to G me. All right, cool. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah. Opening day, he hit that home run. I was like, yo, my man still got it.
Yeah,
still, after all he's been through,
and the greatest thing,
all he's been through, he still came off no big deal. Boom.
And the greatest thing about it is, Alan, you know, me and you have talked about him at length about talent, about laziness.
Dominic Smith is the DH today for the New York Mets.
Right, but what I'm saying is, we've talked about dominance or how dominant he could be or how lazy he could be, depending upon how the Mets are going. My man could have just DH the whole year. Yeah. Because it's the first time the DH is in the National League all year. How could you not justify playing him 60 games if healthy?
They're DHing Dominic Smith.
Now they have no choice. But before that, they were not trying to let him get his bonuses. You cannot name me another Met that should be a DH over Yoenis Cespedes, who A, you're paying a lot of money to, and B, if he gets hot, can carry your team.
Dominic Smith. 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, a 212 batting average. That's DH.
Yeah, instead of Yoenis Cespedes.
And you weren't paying Cespedes that much. They already gave him a huge pay discount.
Yoenis Cespedes can have 2 home runs and 8 RBIs in one game.
Yep.
So that's what the Mets get, and that's why the Mets are the Mets. The ownership,
and they lost yesterday by 1 run. They lost last week to the Marlins by 1 run. They lost to the Nationals by 2 runs. Lost another game by 1 run. They've lost 5 games by 2 runs or less.
Okay. We could end on this. I'm not gonna compare the organizations, but this just goes to show you that the Mets and the Yankees have totally different mindsets. The Mets had a player in Yoenis Cespedes who they were concerned about his health in the outfield, right? So now you have a DH in the National League for the first time in history. He can, like you said, and I don't know if you saw the home run against the Braves. It was a bomb.
I did. I saw it live. I was watching it live. I was watching it live.
Okay. So clearly he still had it. So you can DH him every game. And if he gets his bonuses, he gets his bonuses. Then you have the Yankee. They wouldn't do that. They sat him. So it pissed him off. He quit. Okay. So now you have the Yankees, right? The Yankees have a pitcher named CC Sabathia. They hit, I think it was Aaron Judge last year, Tampa did. CeCe Sabathia goes out there the very next inning and hits the first batter he faces. And he loses out on $500,000 because there was an innings clause in his contract that, that says if you pitch this amount of innings, you get this amount of money. And the Yankees gave it to him anyway because they knew what he was doing. And that's the difference between franchises. It's like the Jets and the Giants. It's like the Yankees and the Mets. It's just some franchises get it and some don't. And I don't know what the Mets were thinking, not playing Yoenis Cespedes every day at DH, period.
Over or under $265 million for CC Sabathia.
Oh, God.
265.
Probably under.
264, 785.
So, but Yoenis got the what? $175 million deal?
No, he's $130 if I remember right.
Really?
They just killed this deal was like 4 years, like 100 something million or something like that.
I thought it was 175 for some reason. Either way, they had to do it. I know that the Met fans here criticize it now, but the seasons he was coming off of, you had to sign him.
He had got, they had reduced his salary for the season, started from 30 million to 6 million.
What was his initial deal?
His initial deal with them was for, where are the notes? 4 years, $110.
$110. All right, and you're trying to nickel and dime this player, man. This guy got you to the World Series. You don't make that trade. If that trade for Carlos Gomez goes through, you never make it to the World Series. You got to the World Series because you're pitching in Yoenis Cespedes, period.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
It's just crazy that he just blew up every team he was ever on. Like he never worked out. He played for Boston for some time. What, for a year?
Boston, Detroit, Oakland, the Mets. They always said he was a cancer, but he was super talented. But the thing was with the Mets, he put it all together, led them to the World Series. The next year led them to the playoffs. Okay, yeah, they didn't make it to the World Series because they lost in the play-in game to Madison Bumgarner. But my point, the talent was always there.
And that's when the manager, who was the manager at that time?
Was that Terry Collins?
Yeah, and I remember they had brought Amelia for one inning, and they didn't, because the other, who was it? The other pitcher that they had was really good. Addison Reed,
who they got. Yeah,
I remember
Addison
that game. I was watching that game at my mother's house. I was in my mother's house watching that game. That was Dalen in the eighth inning. I was like, why wouldn't you throw him? The game is tied. Throw him out there in the ninth. And I get, you're bringing your closer a tie game in the ninth, but not in a one game playoff when the other guy, the other guy's not leaving that game.
Oh, Madison Bumgarner, especially his resume. My man Madison Bumgarner didn't lose in the playoffs, period.
Because you could have stretched out Reed for another inning, gave you the ninth, and then had Familia in your back pocket, and then they brought in Familia, and you got. Because the same thing happened to Buck Showalter when they were playing the Blue Jays in that playoff game too.
Yeah, they didn't bring him Britton. He didn't bring him Britton.
So you're, but
yeah, but point is,
and Cespedes is the MLB equivalent of like a J.R. Smith. All the talent in the world.
I was gonna say he's like JaVale McGee, right? Like the dude can just turn it on, turn it off, like
whatever he wants. But
yeah,
he's like the Josh Gordon of the of.
But you got to play him as the DH. I mean, it's not like he's playing left field, playing as a DH, dude. Take advantage.
I feel like if I was a manager, I would be a player's manager.
Me too.
We used to always make these jokes. Like, listen, I get it. Can you be here? The game's at 1:05. Can you be here at 12 o'clock?
Yeah, that's it.
You at 12:05?
Yeah, just go rake. Can you rake for me? Yes.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna extend you. You need to be here by at least 12:30.
I'll tell you.
Text me when you're in the parking lot so I know to submit my lineup.
I'll tell you what, Yoenis. I'll actually learn how to speak Spanish. Okay, so this way I can communicate with you and ask you, are you ready to play in Spanish? So you can just go out there and go 3 for 4 and not play defense.
I mean, he's just an incredible player.
He rakes. He's not the greatest defender, but he didn't have to be. That's
especially you say they had the DH role.
That's what I'm saying. That's what drives me crazy. Because I get the paper delivered to I get the paper delivered to my house, and it's just like, what? Why would you not DH him every game? Period. That's it. Done deal. It's over.
Yeah. One last stat before we go. I want to make sure I have my number right. There's no way that can be right. Hold on. One. How would I do home runs per at bat? Am I dividing the home runs by the at bat or the bat by the home runs?
You would divide the at bat by the home runs, right?
Not great. A home run every 19 at bats for Yoenis Cespedes in his
Yeah,
career.
but that's because he's been lazy, my man. He doesn't like playing the field. He's told you that. I would like to know what his home runs per at bat would be like when he was fully engaged. And there's no way to know this. When he was full.
Give me that stat, nerd boys.
No, I know. Like, there's no way to know that, and that's why analytics are so silly. But it's like, tell me what his stats were when he was engaged, because we watched him for 2 seasons with the Mets be an absolute stud. And then I want to know, like, when he's a DH. Well, he can't really be a DH.
There was that 2015 run when they went to World Series, but I think they had beat Washington like every game towards the end of the season. That's when they had Strasburg and Scherzer. Washington was lined up ready, and the Mets were like sweeping them. The last, like, they played like 12 times in like the last month of the season, and they just beat them every single time.
Yeah, because he was a beast then, and he cared
all the way to the World Series.
Yep.
What a stud, man. So we'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're trying to still get everything figured out, but we should be good to go now. Now we have real sports to talk about. We don't want to get on this and not have anything to really have anything meaningful to talk with you guys. So we'll check you guys out next week. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Goodbye, everybody. Take care.